Do you ever feel like life is too crowded? Too many things to buy. Too many tasks to finish. Too much noise that never stops. Minimalism is the art of stepping back. It is not about living with nothing. It is about cutting away what does not matter, so you can finally focus on what does. In the next few minutes, we will explore 7 powerful methods of minimalism. Each one can help you clear the noise, take back your attention, and live with a calm and unshaken mind. Method 1. Embrace willingness in simplicity. The first step into minimalism begins with willingness, not just the willingness to throw things away, but the deeper willingness to face life without resistance. Think about how much energy we lose every day when we fight against what is already in front of us. You wake up and see a cluttered room. Instead of dealing with it, you sigh and tell yourself you will get to it later. The weight grows heavier. Now imagine walking into the same room and deciding, with a clear mind, I am willing to take care of this. The resistance disappears. The task is no longer a punishment, but a choice. Minimalism is built on this mindset. When you stop saying, I have to do this, and instead say, I choose to do this, you step into freedom. Willingness transforms chores into moments of clarity. Washing the dishes becomes a small act of gratitude. Cleaning a drawer becomes an exercise in control, not of the world, but of yourself. This idea is not about forcing yourself to enjoy everything. It is about facing life as it is, without constant inner struggle. When you pick up a shirt you never wear, willingness helps you say, I do not need this anymore. When you are tempted to buy something new, willingness allows you to pause and ask, does this really serve my life? Or am I just filling space in practice? Willingness works best when tied to a larger vision. Ask yourself, what kind of life am I building? If your vision is freedom, clarity, and time for what matters, then each act of letting go becomes a step toward that vision. Every simple choice aligns with your deeper purpose. Even small situations can change through this mindset. Being stuck in traffic can turn from frustration into opportunity. Instead of raging at the cars in front of you, you can decide, I am willing to use this time to breathe, to listen, to reflect. The traffic does not change, but your relationship to it does. Minimalism is not about restriction. It is about liberation. And liberation begins with willingness. When you start choosing simplicity instead of resisting it, you will feel a strength that possessions and clutter can never provide. Method 2. Stop judging by appearance. One of the heaviest burdens we carry in modern life is judgment. Not only judgment of others, but also the constant judgment of ourselves through what we own, how we look, and what people think we represent. Minimalism invites us to put this burden down. Think for a moment about how easy it is to compare. You see a neighbor with a brand new car, and immediately you feel smaller. You scroll through social media and notice someone's perfectly decorated home, and suddenly your own space feels inadequate. This is judgment. It does not come from the world outside. It comes from the way we interpret it, and it quietly poisons our peace. Minimalism gives us a different lens. It says your worth is not tied to what you own. Your value is not measured in square footage or designer labels. When you stop judging by appearance, you step into a lighter, freer existence. You no longer need to keep up with an endless race, because you realize there is no race at all. Think about how often we judge others as well. Someone dresses simply, and we assume they lack success. Someone refuses to upgrade their phone, and we assume they are behind the times. But perhaps they are simply free. perhaps they are not trapped by the same invisible chains we carry. By letting go of these judgments, we also let go of the pressure to constantly perform, to constantly prove. This does not mean ignoring beauty or rejecting ambition. It means learning to see clearly. When you look at a person, a house, or even yourself in the mirror, minimalism asks you to see beyond the surface. It asks you to ask, what truly matters here? Is it the brand name or the quality of the relationship? Is it the price tag or the depth of the experience? The truth is that every judgment we make shapes our emotions. If you believe you are less because you own less, you will live in quiet frustration. But if you believe less is enough, judgment loses its power. The noise fades. Minimalism teaches us to measure life not by appearances, but by meaning. When you let go of judgment, you free yourself from the constant cycle of envy, pride, and comparison. You allow yourself to live on your own terms, and that freedom is worth more than any possession. Method 3. Let go of control of things. At the heart of minimalism is the recognition that we cannot control everything. The modern world constantly pushes us to manage, to optimize, to keep track of more than our minds were ever designed to hold. We try to control the pace of technology, the endless stream of advertisements, the pressure to consume more, and we end up exhausted. But minimalism whispers a different truth. You cannot control the world outside. You can only control how you respond to it. Think about how often frustration comes from trying to bend life to our will. You want every corner of your home to be perfect, but as soon as something breaks or goes out of place, you feel anger rise. You want to keep up with every trend, but no matter how much you buy, the finish line keeps moving. You want to hold on to every possession, believing it gives you security, yet the more you hold, the heavier the burden becomes. The chase never ends because control itself is an illusion. Minimalism gives us a way out. Instead of trying to control everything, it asks us to release what we cannot manage and focus only on what truly matters. You may not be able to control the flood of consumer culture, but you can decide what enters your home. You may not be able to control the noise of digital life, but you can choose to turn off notifications and reclaim your attention. You may not be able to control the expectations of society, but you can choose to define success on your own terms. There is deep strength in this surrender. Imagine rowing a boat down a river. You cannot stop the current. You cannot force the river to flow the way you want. But you can steer your boat. You can move with the current instead of fighting against it. Minimalism is exactly that choice. This principle is not about passivity or weakness. It is about conserving your energy for what you can actually influence: your thoughts, your habits, your space, your relationships. When you let go of the impossible task of controlling everything, you suddenly feel lighter. Your time expands. Your clarity grows. You are no longer chasing after every distraction. You are steering your life with intention. Minimalism is not about controlling more, but about needing less. And in that shift, you discover a kind of peace that cannot be bought or forced. It is the peace of knowing that enough is enough, and that you are free. Method 4. Embrace imperfection in life. One of the greatest traps of modern living is the endless pursuit of perfection. We want the perfect home, the perfect job, the perfect family image, the perfect body. And yet, the harder we chase it, the more disappointment we collect. Minimalism reminds us of a simple truth: perfection does not exist. And that is exactly what makes life beautiful. Think about how much stress comes from expecting flawless outcomes. You decorate your living room and imagine it will look like a photo from a magazine. But a week later, the space feels lived in, a little messy, a little imperfect. Instead of enjoying it, you feel let down. Or imagine you buy a brand new phone. The first scratch feels like a personal failure. You tell yourself the object is ruined, when in reality it is still perfectly functional. The frustration comes not from the scratch, but from the illusion that things should remain untouched forever. Minimalism invites us to release that illusion. It teaches us to see value in what is real, not in what is flawless. When we stop demanding perfection, we stop being constantly dissatisfied. We learn to celebrate enough. We begin to see imperfection not as failure, but as character, as story, as proof that life is being lived. There is a Japanese idea called wabi-sabi, the beauty of things that are imperfect, impermanent, and incomplete. A chipped cup, a faded photograph, a weathered table. These are not signs of failure, but reminders of time, memory, and use. Minimalism carries the same spirit. Your life does not need to look like an advertisement to be meaningful. Your home does not need to be spotless to be a sanctuary. Your days do not need to unfold without mistakes in order to hold joy. This principle also applies to people. We often place impossible expectations on ourselves and on those we love. We want flawless partners, flawless children, flawless friends. But the more we demand, the more we harm both them and ourselves. Minimalism teaches us to accept that imperfection is not weakness, it is humanity. By embracing it, we remove the constant cycle of criticism, blame, and disappointment. When you let go of perfection, you suddenly have space for gratitude. You stop obsessing over what is missing and start noticing what is already here. A laugh with a friend, a simple meal, a quiet evening. These are not perfect moments, they are real ones, and in their reality lies their beauty. Minimalism is not about making life perfect. It is about stripping away what is unnecessary so you can finally see the value in what remains. And once you embrace imperfection, peace becomes possible. Method 5. Take responsibility for your attention. Minimalism is not only about the objects around you, it is also about the invisible currency of modern life. Your attention. Every advertisement, every notification, every flashing headline is designed to steal it. And once your attention is scattered, your peace is gone. Minimalism teaches us that attention is the most valuable possession we have, and it demands that we take full responsibility for it. Think about how much of your day slips away without intention. You reach for your phone just to check one message. 30 minutes later, you have scrolled through endless posts you will never remember. You sit down to work on something important. A notification pops up, and suddenly you are chasing 5 different tasks at once. By the end of the day, you are drained, yet nothing truly meaningful has been done. This is not just distraction. This is the quiet theft of your life. Minimalism gives you back the power to say no. No to the constant buzzing of devices. No to the expectation that you must consume every piece of news, every update, every opinion. It invites you to create space where your attention belongs to you again. When you control where your attention goes, you control the quality of your life. The truth is that you cannot live intentionally while letting others rent your mind. If every company, app, and advertisement has the power to decide what you think about, then your time is no longer your own. Minimalism breaks that chain. It teaches you to pause and ask, does this deserve me? Not just my money, but my focus, my energy, my mind? More often than not, the answer is no. Taking responsibility for your attention does not require a dramatic digital detox. It begins with small acts of clarity. Turning off unnecessary notifications. Keeping your phone outside the bedroom. Setting aside time where screens are put away and your thoughts can breathe. Even choosing silence over background noise is a form of reclaiming attention. When you practice this, something remarkable happens. Moments stretch. You begin to notice details you had forgotten to see. A conversation with a loved one becomes deeper. Work that once felt impossible suddenly flows with ease. The mind, no longer pulled in 1,000 directions, begins to feel light again. Minimalism is about more than less stuff. It is about a sharper mind and a freer spirit. When you take responsibility for your attention, you take responsibility for your life. And in that act, you find clarity no possession can ever provide. Method 6. Practice non-reaction to consumption. Pressure minimalism is not just about decluttering your space. It is also about learning how to face the constant pressure to consume without being pulled into it. Everywhere you go, you are told to react. Flash sales shout at you. New gadgets promise to change your life. Friends show off the latest purchase and expect you to follow. The world is built to provoke an immediate yes. But minimalism teaches the power of a calm, steady no. Think about how often we react without thinking. You see a bright red discount sign, and your first thought is, I cannot miss this deal. The truth is, you are not saving money. You are spending it. Or you see a new phone release and suddenly your perfectly fine device feels old. That feeling is not reality. It is reaction. It is your mind being trained to believe you are always behind. Minimalism invites you to pause. Non-reaction is the art of creating space between the trigger and your choice. When you feel the urge to buy, stop and breathe. Ask yourself, do I need this? Will it serve me tomorrow? Or will it simply become another thing to manage, clean, and eventually throw away? That single pause is where freedom lives. This practice is not only about shopping, it applies to social comparison as well. When someone shows you their new car or their bigger house, you may feel the spark of envy. Non-reaction allows you to smile, to be happy for them, without letting their choice dictate your own. Their journey is theirs. Yours is yours. You are no longer chained to the reflex of comparison. Non-reaction also protects your peace of mind. Advertisements are designed to stir emotions, to make you feel incomplete until you click buy. When you refuse to react, you disarm their power. The noise continues, but inside you remain still. That stillness is strength. This is not about denying yourself joy or living in constant restraint. It is about choosing wisely, slowly, intentionally. When you say yes, it is because you truly want to, not because you were provoked. When you say no, it is because you value your freedom more than another possession. Minimalism is the practice of patience in a world of impulses. Non-reaction is your shield. It keeps you steady while everything around you shouts for your attention. And the more you practice it, the more you will. Realize that you are no longer controlled by pressure. You are in control of yourself. Method 7. Find joy in selflessness and space. The final lesson of minimalism is that real joy is not found in holding on. It is found in letting go. When we clear away the excess in our lives, we do not just create empty rooms or tidy shelves. We create space for something far more valuable. We create space for love, for connection, and forgiving. Think about the last time you gave something away. Maybe it was a jacket you no longer wore, or a book you had already read. When you placed it in someone else's hands, how did it feel? It was not loss, it was relief, it was freedom, and perhaps it was joy. Minimalism shows us that selflessness is not sacrifice. It is expansion. When we release what we do not need, we make room for what matters most. Too often we cling to possessions as if they are proof of our worth. We believe that the more we have, the more secure we will feel. But clutter only weighs us down. A crowded closet does not comfort you. A garage filled with unused items does not protect you. They are not anchors of safety. They are chains. By giving them away, you free not only yourself, but sometimes also someone who truly needs what you no longer use. This joy extends beyond objects. Minimalism also teaches us to be generous with our time, our attention, our presence. Instead of filling every hour with tasks, you can choose to be with someone who matters. Instead of chasing endless goals, you can give yourself the gift of rest, of listening, of being fully alive in the moment. That act of selflessness, even toward yourself, creates space in your spirit. Joy is not born from more. It is born from less. Less clutter, less judgment, less holding on. And in that less, there is suddenly room for gratitude. You notice the warmth of a morning sun. You feel the comfort of a simple meal. You appreciate the quiet company of someone you love. These are not luxuries. They are the essence of life. Minimalism ends where it began, with choice. You can choose to cling, to chase, to consume until the very end. Or you can choose to let go, to give, to live with space inside and around you. And in that space, you will find joy that no possession could ever match. We have walked through 7 methods of minimalism. Each one is simple yet powerful. Willingness to face life without resistance. Freedom from judgment and comparison. The strength to let go of control. The courage to embrace imperfection. The discipline to guard your attention. The calm of non-reaction to pressure. And the joy of giving and creating space. Minimalism is not about living with nothing. It is about living with clarity. It is about stripping away what does not serve you so that what remains can shine. If you begin practicing even one of these methods today, you will feel the shift. More calm, more focus, more freedom. If this message resonates with you, share it with someone you care about. And if you want more guidance on living simply and meaningfully, make sure to subscribe and stay with us on this journey.